Rabbitohs Radio Podcast, the number one source for everything South Sydney Rabbitohs.
Welcome to another edition of Rabbitohs Radio. My name is Grant Chappell. I'm joined by my loyal co-host and friend, Darren Brownie Brown. And we're also joined by a new person on the podcast, Big Les from Big Les's Rugby League podcast. Welcome to Rabbitohs Radio, mate.
Thanks, boys. Happy to be here.
Yeah, g'day, guys, and welcome to everyone out there.
What's been happening, boys?
Nothing much. Hit the gym this morning, then just had a bit of a quiet one, just doing some editing and stuff like that.
Tell us a little bit about the podcast that you're involved with at the moment.
Yeah, so I've been running my podcast for about 3 years, started in August of 2021. Just got bored during COVID and decided to start one up and see how I went. Obviously started off with an Instagram page and, trash plain background edits with Canva. It wasn't the best and thought it'd be better to convey what I was trying to say in voice. So started the podcast, did that for a while and really enjoyed it. Got better with Canva and, we are where we are now. Yeah.
And you got some opportunities with BTFU. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so obviously the August last year, got the call up for BTFU, run by a guy called Aaron Macy. He obviously had seen what I'd been doing, luckily enough, and gave me a shout. He sort of talked about the future of what he was trying to do with his brand and stuff like that. I got to work with guys like Gavin Sheehan, who coached at Manly for a while, and he's just such a legend of a bloke. We had a great time, interviewed some really cool players during that time as well, and just got to meet some of the Jersey Flegg boys too at that time, which was cool. And then obviously started the podcast this year with Rennie and Darcy, Rennie Mature and Darcy Lussick, which was great. Like, that doesn't come around very often at all, so it was grateful to have that opportunity.
It's all about opportunities, mate. And you played a bit of footy for South Eastern yourself, and
Wombats, Coogee Wombats.
Wombats, there you go. We won't hold that against you. But you're also a Marcelin student, mate.
Yeah, Marcelin boy, played in that A grade side too, year 11 and 12, A's and B's. We won the comp last year, which was good.
And most importantly, you love the South Sydney Rabbitohs, and that's what we're all about here on this show.
He's a mad South family.
Of course, boys, of course.
And what about Rabbitohs? Who's your favourite Rabbit of all time, mate?
Favourite Rabbit of all time? Obviously it's not so good because he went to Brisbane, but Renault's probably my favourite. Just growing up, seeing them win the comp in 2014.
Tough to see him leave, wasn't it? But anyway, that's we got to move on. People are still talking about it today, including me. But no, we'll eventually replace Renault one day. Don't worry about that. Look, we've got a pizza competition at the moment. Tell us a bit about that, Brown. Kicking off next week.
Yeah, certainly, chaps. Our great supporters, Site Pizza, out there at Little Bay. We sat down with him today, and he's agreed to run a competition, a weekly competition. It's going to be a guessing competition on our social media, and they'll be giving away $100 voucher every week.
Oh, wow.
And that can be used at any 3 stores. They've got a store at Little Bay, one at Maroubra, and their new venue, the Matraville Hotel, right in the heart of South Sydney territory. So make sure you keep an eye out on our social medias. We'll be running it through our Instagram page, and there'll be terms and conditions. But, yeah, make sure you join in. $100 weekly voucher to be won.
And have you had Site Pizza, mate? Up at Little Bay, Maroubra?
Little Bay, I used to attack those things, barbecue chicken and mushroom. I'll tell you what, on the calorie deficit now, but back then I would have destroyed those things very, very quickly.
He's looking pretty tight there, Lehroy. Don't worry about that.
It's a great feat.
We say Lehroy, his name's Lou. We did Lehroy Stewart, but his nickname's Big Les from Big Les's podcast. Make sure you jump on and subscribe and have a listen. He knows his stuff. Don't worry
I'll tell you
about
what, I thought I looked big, but Brownie's obviously done arms today, so
yeah,
showing me up
of curls on the roll this morning, chaps and I. It was hard, tough, wasn't it?
Yeah, we got through it, mate. Yeah, and then punched out a shift. But look, that's just all in the day's work. Don't worry about this. We come down here to the Rabbitohs Radio podcast, and we'll just talk South Sydney, and we'll also talk what we call Origin all day. We might get into an Origin wrap, boys. What do you reckon?
100%.
Good.
Obviously, it was game 1. We got a new regime down in New South Wales. Our coach, premiership winning coach, Michael Maguire, took over this year. Got a whole new assistant coaching staff. Got all the old boys involved. I know the blue ball they have, and the Monday prior to the Origin game, they get all the old boys together and have a dinner and all that, and he got them all together, mingling with the new players. And we worked with Les Davison and David Gillespie, and they were thrilled. They said a really good time and got to tell some old stories to some of the new boys, and they were really appreciative of it.
Yeah, it's good that Madge gets the old boys involved, and I'm sure all the coaches previously to Madge do the same thing. And it's always a great night that night. And, unfortunately, we didn't get the win in game one, but there's plenty to talk about.
So how did you see the send-off, boys?
Yeah. Look, I think in NRL it probably would have been called a sin bin anyway. You know, a lot of controversy obviously been heavily discussed in the media. For me, it was a sin bin. I don't think it was a send off. I think that, especially in an Origin game, regardless of the decision that would have been made in NRL, you don't want to see a side 8 minutes into a game lose one of their star players because the game was pretty much decided after 8 minutes.
Well, it's basically destroyed the series, hasn't it? How tough is it to go up to Queensland anyway and win an Origin game, and now we've got to go up there and win to survive and play for a decider. Yeah, look, I'm with you, Lehroy. I think it was a harsh decision. I think it could have went either way, but to send him off, there was no intention there to hit him around the head. Obviously, he came into contact with the head, but Reece Walsh was falling as well. So there was a lot of ifs and buts in
There's
the
a lot of
incident.
mitigating circumstances, definitely. Like you speak about intent. If you watch, he done the perfect tackle. He planted his feet, dipped his body, got his head out the way. He wasn't looking at his target because he wanted to get his head out the way and use his shoulder. But unfortunately, Reece Walsh was sliding in almost like that, hit him in the head, and out of the game. I mean, you were out of the game too, Lehroy. I didn't even notice it until they stopped it, and my mate was there. Adam Sampson Finance, give us a few tickets here. One of our sponsors there. Shout out to you, Adam. And as soon as I seen it, I said, that's a send-off. Because it was such a violent hit, the way his head snapped back. But when you slow it down, look at it the next day, I've changed my mind to I thought it should have been a sin bin and possibly changing some sort of rule because, look, I parked about 10 minutes away and walked to the venue, and I walked past about maybe 70 or 80 buses, right, parked along the side of the stadium, and they were from all around New South Wales. And I'm talking about school kids from Port Macquarie, Canberra, down Nowra, all through the Hunter Valley, out of Bathurst, Orange. These people have probably saved up for months and months to take their kids from their local footy team to this game, and it's over in 7 minutes.
Well,
I just don't think you can do that.
Once he got sent off, chaps. Look, to be honest, I thought New South Wales were very gallant in their defeat to be playing with 12 men against a 13-man Origin team. But in saying that, it was always going to go one way, wasn't it? The back end of the game, they were going to tire him out and they were going to find space and holes in the New South Wales defence, which Queensland did. But yeah, it was. It's just destroyed the series, I believe.
Do you think it would have been worth having a guy like Burton on the bench to just as cover?
Without a doubt, he could have went into that edge back rower centre type play. We struggled down that side for about a 5 or 10 minute period. We didn't react on it. Madge Maguire got Stephen Crichton over there probably after about 10 minutes, but it was too late by then. The hammer had run down there twice.
It was 20 to 6.
Cobbo went down there a couple of times and they scored a couple of tries. So, the game was gone.
Look, I don't think it matters who was on the bench for New South Wales. We were losing that game just purely. Origin's a completely different speed. You can see that when you're out there. Different intensity. You cannot go 73 minutes with a man short against players like Ben Hunt, Cherry Evans, Tom Dearden, Harry Grant coming off the bench, old mate swinging around the back there.
And for 20, 30 minutes.
They just exploited you.
Yeah. For 20, 30 minutes, I thought we were really good in that game. It was only the back end of the game where Queensland got the edge on us, and it was all on the back of probably being a little bit tired, I'd say.
So I don't know where you were, Lehroy, but I was at the game on the same side as where the players run out, And after the first try, Billy Slater left his box. Did you see that?
Yeah, he come out
he
on the
bolted
field.
down to grab the hammer and say, get down that side again. And they went down there 3 or 4 more times. They bombed one. I think it was a forward pass. Critter saved one with a tackle low on Cobbo. But every other time they went down there, they had a 4-man overlap.
Yeah, and Tom Dearden, I think, is someone that not a lot of people, when you go back and watch the footage, they bring up. He squares up the attacking line so well. and just exploits that overlap. And I think also people forget as well, in defence, when you do have a guy sent off, it isn't 12 men in the line, it's 11. So you're running up against 13 men with 11 men in the defensive line. There's a 2-man overlap every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah, well said, mate. Yeah.
So they're just looking up and counting the numbers. All they had to do was they're always trying to get Sewer to go that right-hand side of the goalpost to open up the left, and they just went bing, bing, bing. And, yeah, they made the move over there. But, again, maybe he should have been off for 10 minutes, and Suaalii doesn't take any part in the game, and you can activate your 18th man, for example. Only in Origin or, for a spectacle like that. This is the pinnacle of our game. This is the pinnacle of the world of rugby league.
Exactly, and we just spoke
People watch it from all around the world, all around Australia. People in Victoria watch it. Perth, they don't watch rugby league at all, but they watch State of Origin.
That's right, chaps, 100%. And we just go back to the incident, and it's big man on little man as well, isn't it? We're playing a contact sport here, and the speed that Origin has played at. Suaalii is a large man. He's very, very tall. He's probably about 6'4". Reece Walsh is only about 5'10", I'd say. And he was falling. He was half over in terms of his balance. He was nearly on the ground. And how was Suaalii supposed to
It was
pull
like
out
that
of it?
piece of paper. That's where he was like that. Wasn't standing like this.
That's
it was
right.
like that.
It was on the angle.
He contorts his body so well, so he can actually step back on the inside too. If they don't get that overlap on that side, he contorts his body to the left to get his body ready to run in back on the inside.
And he does that all the time, Reece Walsh. He's very good. He's very well balanced. And look, it was an
there's a
unfortunate
suggestion
incident.
in the paper that Michael Maguire sent his men out to hit him in the head. Mate, you're kidding yourself, aren't you?
No.
He might have sent him out there to hit as hard as you can legally, which I'm sure that's what he said, Madge. And Liam Martin got the message, didn't he?
Yeah,
But,
certainly.
like to suggest that, I think he's a really nice. Like he's not a South player, former South junior. I was talking to a few blokes at work, and I said, "Look, the Roosters ruined the Origin series." He said, and they said, "Well, mate, South juniors ruined the Origin series."
Yeah.
Anyway, so it was a bit of tit for tat there from the Roosters fans, but we'll go with the Roosters ruined the Origin series. But yeah, boys, we'll go to who impressed who, mate. What do you reckon, Lehroy? You want to start us off?
Yeah. In terms of who impressed me, I thought we talked about him before, but Hammer. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. Every time he roamed down that left-hand side, it was just try after try after try. Again, just another guy that contorts his body so well, makes the defense second guess the way that he moves with all of that speed as well. When you have the ability to move your body like that, you contort your hips and your body on an angle, so it's harder for the defenders to make that tackle on you as well. Then to accelerate and have that speed to get through the line, it's just impossible to defend.
Well, that speed just puts him in a position to score so many tries. He can be on the other side of the field, someone make a break, and because he's so quick, he can get to where the ball player is and be in a position to receive the pass to score a try. And that's what he does week in, week out.
And he's the player that's going to be able to get an overlap every single time, because as a defender, you've got to make the play on him, because if you don't, he is going to run back on the inside. He has enough time to make that play.
When he loomed up on the inside of Murray Tuolangi, I think it was on that second try. See that live? That was incredible.
Yeah.
It was like the Roadrunner. Just popped up, bip, bip, on the inside. He's ready to go. He got there within a couple of seconds. It was incredible. The other one was when Sherry Evans made that intercept, and the speed that Xavier Coates loomed up on the inside, they clocked that at 34.9 kilometres an hour.
Yeah, wow.
That was the fastest player on the night. He's pretty impressive in real life too, mate.
Well, for a 35, 36-year-old, he's fucking doing well.
Yeah, doing really well. Brownie, who impressed you, mate?
Oh, look, for the Queensland side, I couldn't go past Daly Cherry Evans. I thought he was instrumental in everything they did. Came up with a couple of big plays late in the game at 40-20, and obviously the intercept when the boys were tied. But that first try, he scooted down that blind side after a poor kick from Nico Hines. It gave him a 7-tackle set. And, I just thought he was instrumental. He's got his fingerprints over all their attack. At 35 years of age, he gets better and better every game. He's just a great player, a great leader. And, well-deserved man of the match. But after watching the highlights, and I know you're going to talk about him, chaps, I thought Tommy Dearden probably nearly could have got man of the match as well. But for me, Daly Cherry Evans, well-deserved. And I know you're going to talk about the bloke I just spoke about.
Yeah, well, that set you're talking about, that was the first kick of the night by Nico Hines. He kicked it dead. And then they got the 7 tackle set. It was a power set up to the left-hand side of the post. They did the right shift, got it to that edge. Nanai, explosive run by Nanai. He had him knocked over 9 pins, dominant, play the ball. And that's what Cherry Evans had the space to jump out that side and throw a speculator. And he came late too, Benny Hunt. He wasn't in the picture early, but he pushed up in support like a good player does and never give up on the play. And he come over for a try there. But, yeah, Tommy did. And I just think he's one of the toughest players in the game. One of the hardest blokes to tackle for a little man. A bit like Alan Langer back in the day. Brownie, you could probably attest to that. He wasn't an easy man to get down, Alan Langer, was he? Even though he was small?
Very small. Great technique in both defence and attack. And it's exactly like how Tommy did and plays as well.
And he's almost runs like a forward. He ran for 130-odd metres at 5'8". I think Cherry Evans ran for big metres as well. But there was a play, it was 20-6, and we started to get 3 or 4 back-to-back set time, build some pressure. Queensland knocked the ball coming out of trouble. I think it was Harry Grant. We did a big shift to the left. If you can remember that tap on by Critter, it was a right to left shift. Instead of tapping it on like that, he tapped it on like this with his left hand. Toto goes down that side. They shifted over the right, ends up in Liam Martin's hands. He skipped straight around Cobbo, left him standing, and what's his name? Dropped back in cover, did, and like a good halfback, cover tackle, copybook tuck around the legs and snuffed it out.
Yeah, look, chaps, and I said Cherry Evans had his fingerprints all over, but so did Tommy Dearden. In them first 2 tries, he had a hand in them tries, and he was a support player. He could have easily scored 2 of them tries that the Hammer scored. But, yeah, he was outstanding, and, yeah, what a player to bring in
I was at his
for
debut.
Cameron
He
Munster.
debuted against South a couple of years ago now, but we ended up winning the game. But he impressed me on the night, his first game in first grade. You could see there was something about him. I was very surprised that Brisbane let him go, but Adam Reynolds coming up probably.
The one thing that worried me going into this game for Tom Dearden was the fact that you watch the Cowboys footy and there are just so many errors in their game at the moment. They're basically playing like a touch footy side. I was worried coming into Origin, there was just going to be a few mistakes out of him and maybe New South Wales were going to get a few opportunities. As a New South Wales fan, that's what I was probably hoping for. But no, he was outstanding. His speed as well. You talked about him in support, just the effort areas, getting the little things right, and those spread sets on that left hand side were just absolutely outstanding.
He's so quick, isn't he? Look, I know Cameron Munster's not going to be available for the next game, which I don't think he's going to be available. I don't know.
I think he's out for the series.
Well, there you go. If he was, how could you drop Tom Dearden on that performance? Really.
Yeah. He'd almost have to be in his 17 somewhere.
I think
he's a little bulldog, isn't he? Just a tough little fella, but he's worth having in your team, that's for sure. What about on the Blues side? Just personally, you take if it was 13 on 13, I still think we beat them. I really do. I thought our forwards got over the top of them. I thought Angus Crichton just ran straight and hard all night. Payne Haas had his best Origin game, I think. A couple of blokes maybe chipped him in the media, but I thought he was strong.
Yep.
Ola Kawadu didn't in limited opportunities was good, but Spencer Leno, he belongs there.
Yeah,
he was so explosive. He played the ball like that, Cameron Murray style.
Well, he was going to be my player that I was going to talk about, Spencer Leno. I thought he was outstanding. Only got limited minutes. I think he only played about 25 minutes, but them minutes were all quality. His carries were unbelievable. The Queenslanders just couldn't handle him. I thought there was a couple of great debuts as well. I thought Cameron McInnes, his first stint was really good. He was very busy. He was very strong, hard to handle. And Zach Lomax, I was a little bit critical of his selection, but I thought he was really good on the wing. He maybe came up with one error, but he ran for big metres. He was hard to handle and scored a try on debut. I thought he was really good.
Repeat set too. He's able to get the repeat set there.
The two players you brought up then, Lomax and McInnes, I just thought, and I don't know if you guys agree, but just when he ran the footy, there just wasn't a lot of go forward when he ran the footy. Like, he just not much impact off his runs. And with Lomax, I think defensively, I think you've got to have Critter on that side with him. Otherwise, he's going to struggle because, yes, obviously they had 12 men. You didn't have the inside centre there, but tackling him on the wrong side, Selwyn Cobbo when he was going
you got
down
his
that
head in the wrong.
And a few of New South Wales blokes did. Well, he wasn't the only one. There was a few.
Yeah, I know. But
got it wrong.
I've just, throughout the season as well, he's had a few defensive inconsistencies. Like, as a Blues fan, it probably worries me and it sort of makes me think, does Mudge maybe go in a different direction? But I think if Critter stays on that right-hand side and they have maybe Latrell or someone else, we'll talk about it obviously later, come in on that left, I think that Lomax Oh, okay. He just needs a good
I
defensive
thought
centre.
he was good. Like defensively, he's never been a top defensive centre or winger himself, but he did his best. There was missed tackles in Origin. It's not really a proper stat to look at. The game is so quick. Like I think Tommy did had 7 or 8 missed tackles. We just talked about how good he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cherry Evans was something similar. So don't worry about that. Both halves for New South Wales had a lot of missed tackles and all that sort of stuff because they were targeted all night and they're under fatigue for the majority of the back end of each half. I mean, that I wouldn't be worried too much about that. I actually thought Lomax showed some nice touches, that bomb that he went up and
Yep.
caught and all that. So he showed some classy. He's one of those guys. He makes like tough things look easy, and he makes easy things look hard.
Don't get me wrong.
He's like the Origin version of Jackson Paulo.
He was great in attack. Great in attack, and I think that especially in that second half, a massive improvement from what we saw from him in the first.
Yeah.
But yeah, just defensively, it worries me a little bit going into game 2.
Well, like you said, Lehroy, if he's got an experienced player inside him, it might help his game a little bit better. First game, debut, comes up with a try. I think he'll only get better.
Yeah.
But like you said, I was critical of his selection, but I thought he had quite a good debut.
And poor old Jakey Turbo, the captain. The game was no good for him once it went down to 12 men.
Yeah.
Because we needed the quickest blokes on the field. So if we got 13 on 13. Jakey Turbo will still have a big impact on this game, and he would have played high 60, 70 minutes, I reckon.
But 29 minutes for your captain is just a bit odd, don't you reckon?
It's just purely because you got to take a middle out and put someone on the edge because that's the only place we could go short was in the middle, and you get your smallest, most lightest guys in the middle to try and get some ruck speed going and try and handle their ruck speed and push someone out. At one stage we had Liam Martin and Lomax. And Nico Hines kept trying to go up and solve it himself.
Yeah.
And he'd leave them posted. And that's where all the space was. And Tom Dearden's job was to get it there, and he got it there about every time.
100%, chaps. The rotation system would have went straight out the window once they lost the man. An injury, is a little bit different because you still got 13 on 13. But when you lose a player sent off, the whole structure just goes out the window. And would they have trained for that? Obviously, they might have, but they probably wouldn't have thought it would have happened.
Yeah, I want to give Robson a rap too.
Yeah.
He's not the most creative player in the world, but is there a tougher hooker going around?
No, he does plenty of
He come
work.
up with some really big plays defensively. There's one time where a ball just got tossed out of nowhere in the second half. He picks it up with one hand. I had to double take to see who it was. I thought it was Latrell. That's how easy he made it look.
Yeah.
But and he's also come up with that turnover after the Liam Martin tackle. He was up for it, the little fella, and he's a bulldog. I think we found a hooker there. But I think maybe do you think about bringing Appy in for a bit of creativity to spell him?
Well, chaps, we were just going to talk about the changes, and that was going to be one of them that I was going to suggest. I just think we need a little bit more creativity around that ruck area. Like you said, he's very tough, he's very gallant, and he does all his work. But I think Appy's just got a little bit more craftiness about him. He gets out of dummy half a little bit better. He'll be scheming out of dummy half. But, yeah, look, which way does Madge go? They say pick and stick, but the series is on the line. It happens to us every year, doesn't it? We've got to.
Yeah, I wouldn't change this side much. Personally, I'd only do force changes. I wouldn't change too many. Maybe Nico Hines if Mitchy Moses or Cleary are fit. No one's ruled out Cleary yet.
Yeah.
I'd play Cleary on no games. If he hasn't played a game, I'm throwing him straight in there because we lack direction in a kicking game on the night.
Yeah.
I think the two halves were very similar. Their first thought is to go crossfield, and they don't seem to square up quick enough. You get someone like that in to just square things up and get a bit of direction.
What about our man, number 6, Cody Walker? Would you?
I'd put him with Moses. I reckon if Moses comes in, I'd put Cody Walker at 6. They've done the job late last year. Cody Walker, not many players in the game can final overlap on 3-on-3. Cody Walker does it just about every week. If Cleary comes in, you leave Lehroy in there because he did nothing wrong the other night. His energy was outstanding.
I'd probably stick with Lehroy, and I'd probably go with Moses. I think Lehroy, the thing that wants me to keep him in there is the fact that, one, his work rate was outstanding. 2, I felt like when he started to get the ball in his hands a lot more in that second half period, particularly when we did not let a try in and we were just attacking really well with the better side for the start of the second half right up until the 63rd minute. But yeah, look, I'd keep Luai because as soon as he got the ball in his hands, he just added so much direction. He added structure. His kicking game was a lot better. You knew what the goal at the end of sets was going to be. With Nico Hines, when he got the ball in his hands, he'd go 2 passes off the ruck and just do under 8 sort of stuff. It was just seemed to be a lack of direction. And then on last tackle kicks, you'd think like, what was the thought process there? What was the goal at the end of this set?
Well, sometimes what works in clubland doesn't work in Origin, doesn't it? But like you said, Luai, he plays with a lot of energy. He's always on the ball. And if Moses can be there for that long kicking game, which he's got, Moses, he came back last week in great form after a long layoff with an injury. He could be the man that takes the number 7 reins up at Suncorp.
And a force change looks like it's going to be Joseph Suaalii, who is suspended for 4 weeks, I believe. So that's one. Look, that might be the only change, but I'd probably doubt it. I think they might make a change there at 7 if Moses jumps in, and we'll keep Luai, for example, and keep it minimal changes because I don't think we're that bad.
Yeah,
like I said. But starting centre, does Burton surely has to be the starting centre straight in? He was in that squad already.
Look, I've heard a number of things out of New South Wales camp in regards to Latrell, but I'd pick him in a heartbeat. I think that what
so would I.
Latrell can do in your footy side, what we've seen him do in Origin football, he hasn't been there for the past few years, and obviously over the past few years we haven't been too successful. But Latrell Mitchell is the guy that can win you a game like that.
He's a big game player.
And you seen his post after the game, didn't you?
No, I missed it.
I did.
Just
yeah.
Straight off the game.
A bit cheeky from Latrell, a bit cheeky. But look, as I said, I'd probably pick him in a heartbeat because he is that guy that can win you a game of football. And I think that you just need that game breaker in your side. I think it's the one thing we sort of missed.
He's the man. He's a big
I can see
body.
the headline already. SOS Latrell Mitchell in the paper.
Yeah.
He'll love that headline too. Look, coming in to rescue the series.
He's a big game player. He's did it at all levels. He's a big body, very hard to handle. And I love him being in that front line. I spoke about it on the podcast for the last couple of weeks. I like for him to be in the front line for the Rabbitohs. But yeah, he's the man.
Left centre, Brownie, and you put Critter over on the right where he did a good job.
Yeah, he's the man that can take us to Suncorp and
minimal changes. I think really. I think the bench, the only maybe Hudson Young, you might rotate him, bring in someone else. I think that's about it.
I think Barnett might make his debut off the bench. I think they needed a bit of size. I think that him and Spencer Leniu coming off the bench would be good impact. 2 guys to bring into the squad I want to get your thoughts on. We sort of talked about it a little bit on BTFU before the sides came out, but Isaiah Katoa to come into the squad just as a young half. He's probably, other than Moses when he comes in, probably the only right-centric half that you've got in that squad. And I think that just when you had a lot of injury cloud around Nico Hines, I probably would have preferred to have a guy like Isaiah Katoa up, ready to go, than Luke Keary, because Luke Keary's a 6. He's been playing left all year as well.
And then he's retiring next year too, for a start.
Yeah, exactly. And then
Suaalii's going.
Jacob Kiraz. Sure. Jacob Kiraz was the second one. I think his work rate, his post-contact meters is just absolutely
He's an animal,
insane.
though, Jacob Kiraz.
He's been
he can play anywhere
for the Bulldogs, hasn't he?
1, 3, wing, plays just about anywhere.
Yeah. And the halfback that you spoke about, very good player. He's got a lot of ability, very talented, plays on the ball all the time. He's got a nice little kicking game. And, he's a player of the future for sure. And to bring him into the squad and develop him now wouldn't be a bad idea for sure.
I haven't checked this week's rankings, but he was number 5 on the Dally M's too at some stage. So
there you go.
I reckon it's a great idea, mate. Big Les, there you go. There's another real idea from Big Les.
Not just a pretty face, not just a pretty face, boys.
He's not bling bling, all right?